So yesterday on the radio show, I brought up the fact that there's this weird phenomenon going on where voters are historically unhappy with the Democrats. Biden's at 38% approval, a historic low. Kamala Harris is at an amazing 28% approval. We didn't even know it was possible. I mean, think about it. Like 25% of the country are lunatic liberals. Even they don't like her. It's crazy. That's all she's got is a few liberals and a few independents and maybe a couple of Democrats, right? So you got this weird relationship here where the Democrats themselves and independents can't stand Joe Biden, and yet still you have some of the things Joe Biden is doing are polling and they're popular. Why? Because the intermediary, the referee, the media is not connecting the two, that Biden is doing this. Here's what I mean. Paul Bedard has a piece up in my newsletter today. Read it. Historic pro-GOP voting gap revealed. The second part of this headline, I don't. If this happens, I'll be stunned in a good way. He says, historic pro-GOP voting gap revealed. Potential 70-seat pickup in the midterms. 70 seats. You're talking about districts that are Cook PVI 10 or more, Democrat, leaning 10 plus. Remember I told you about the Cook PVI, Charlie Cook? He has a partisan value index. We don't have Republicans in seats that have a Cook PVI of D plus 6 or more. We just don't. To pick up 70 seats, we would have to win seats that are D plus 10, Democrat plus 10. That's their voter advantage. If that happens, folks, it's a rout for the ages. You've never seen anything like it. So how is it that Paul Bedard is reporting about this unprecedented just anger at Democrats, so much so that the Republicans could be looking to pick up an incredible 70 seats? Put this in perspective. I think during the Tea Party wave of 2010, we picked up 63 seats, and that was considered one of the biggest routs in American history. Can you imagine picking up 7 more? That's a big prediction. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Bedard's hearing it, apparently. Who knows? But how is that when you read this next article at U.S. News? Majority of Americans favor increasing infrastructure spending. Poll finds. Folks, none of this makes any sense. How is it possible that on one hand, people are turning their backs on Joe Biden and the Democrats when he just passed an infrastructure bill that many Americans want? Folks, the reason is they're not connecting the two. They're not connecting the fact. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, Joe, stop me. But here's the thing here.
Right.
It is the infrastructure bill and the spending of money we don't have that is causing the problems you are experiencing in your life now, that is causing you this misery. But Americans aren't figuring it out. Not us, the conservatives who watch the show. You get it. Biden is spending money we don't have. The spending of money we don't have requires us to print it, which is causing the inflation that's making your life miserable. Now, granted, it's not just that. There's the border crisis. You saw Mayorkas before. Street crime crisis in liberal cities. There's the lying, the scams, the Biden weakness overseas, Afghanistan. I get that a lot contributes to it. But on the economic front, if the media would just tell the American people the truth, that, hey, this infrastructure bill they passed, we don't have the money for it, therefore we're printing it. That's why you're paying more at the gas pump and for groceries. I guarantee you we would be looking at 100-seat gain. I'm not kidding. If we had an honest referee in the media and they just told the American people the truth, that it's Biden that's doing this to you and it's even worse than you think, and connected the two, popular infrastructure, we don't like Joe Biden, and then said, well, why is infrastructure popular? Joe Biden did this and infrastructure is the reason you don't like Joe Biden. If they made the connection and walked you through the economics of it, I'm telling you, Joe Biden's approval rating would be 15% and we would pick up 80 seats, maybe 100. They won't do it. They have to protect liberalism at all costs. They won't do it. They will never do it. They cannot. They absolutely cannot. I just did the absolutely thing. Jim says absolutely. They absolutely will not throw liberalism overboard. They won't do it. They have to protect it at all costs. They are full-time activists. They would make the connection from people. If they'd make the connection, you would see these numbers would even out. Infrastructure would go down. Support would go down. Biden's support would go down even worse. They are hiding the connection here.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.